Very windy today. We're going to have to plan accordingly for our turns. It's going to be a quick flight. We'll go north and come back. And let's ask Gary what we're going to be doing today.
Hey, it's Gary the Eric picture next to Val and Eric in the picture.
And we have even like matching nails.
I didn't do mine. So Skyline Pilot has. So what we're going to do is they're already really good at IFR. We're just going to do part of an IPC today and show some of the advanced features in the new Avionics 10.3.
That's right. Yeah.
Some of Gary's little tricks and tidbits and quickies, and learn some stuff and have some fun.
Yes. You know, something is for sure that we'd like to have you with us all the time. So hopefully we'll fly again very soon. So it's going to be a quick flight.
Yeah, and you know, that's what I tell everybody. Everybody that watches my videos or actually works with me, you're already good at Avidyne, IFR, and ForeFlight. I'm just going to give a little bit of real world experience to make you even better when things are unusual or go wrong.
Yeah, yeah.
You're already good. I'm just giving you a couple
We're
tips.
always learning, always getting better.
There's a guy that looks a lot like me, like my twin brother, but he wears blue.
That's right.
Doesn't Jason look just like my twin brother? Isn't that like
just like you?
Like
yes,
that, right?
A good pilot is always learning. Jason Shepard. That's right. Yeah. All right. Well, we already have done our pre-flight and we're ready to go.
Wichita, Colonel James Jabara Airport. Automated weather observation 1941 Zulu. Wind 360 at 14. Peak gusts 23. Visibility 10. Sky condition clear. Temperature 27 Celsius. Dew point 03 Celsius. Altimeter 3014. Remarks. Density altitude 2,900.
The first thing I'm going to do is just go open up display. Obviously we want touchscreen on. I'm going to turn the zoom mode off. So there's a little misconception on zoom mode. It doesn't change here. All it does is it changes the tabs.
King Air 1840 Sierra is taxi runway 364.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to activate my cursor, turn it off, deactivate my cursor. See, it just makes these tabs smaller. So it doesn't change frequencies. Bezel brightness is totally fine. Keyboard convenience, what that means is if I touch something here, the keyboard pops up down there. The checklist I want you to use later. All right, if you want to taxi over the run-up area, we'll go from there.
Okay, that sounds good. Brake checks. Clear right, clear left. Bye to Mr. Eric.
I love the fact that you say what you're doing out loud.
Oh yeah, that's important to me.
That is a trademark of a professional pilot.
It helps. It helps you when you have a lot of different things to do. Saying it out loud, I don't know, it registers better. And we know that the wind is coming from 3.5, which is slightly on our right side.
So you're diving away from it.
So I'm just going to dive away from it. I'm going to just do a little clear left, clear right, and making sure everything is nice and free. And we're going to turn around and get as much as possible into the wind.
And obviously you know this, but just in case any of your viewers don't, if you can, you always do the run-up into the wind. It's just strictly better engine cooling.
Yeah.
It's just easier on the engines.
For sure. All right. And we'll make sure we get as much space in front of us as possible if, let's say, our brakes are failing. So.
There you go. Perfect.
All right. Fuel pumps on. Run-up checklist. 1,500 RPM.
Now do your normal checklist, but when you come to the prop, let me do one and I'll show you a trick.
Okay, so I'm going to start with the left.
Okay.
RPM decrease. Manifold increase. Pressure decrease. No oil, no smoke. Go with the right.
All right, so I'm going to do it just slightly different. I'm going to go a little bit slower. So when I pull back the right one first, I should see an oil pressure drop.
Right.
I do.
Boom.
The next time I do it, I should see a manifold pressure increase. I do. The third time I do it, I should see an RPM drop. So by doing it a little bit slower, I'm checking all 3 gauges, and this is something Rod Machado is actually espousing. About once a month, I actually do this. I'm going to bring the prop back just about there, and then you got the brakes nice and tight?
Yep.
I'm going to bring the prop back to about the middle, and then is the hub actually going to hold with an advance in power? Very few people actually test this. So if I add power on the right engine, and I bring the prop back even more, notice it's holding at 2,000. So very few people ever actually check and see that the hub is holding.
Yeah.
And most people just have never done that. So this is something you can look up on rodmachado.com.
That's cool.
But once a month, I like people to actually check their prop hubs. And Rod does a much better job of explaining why, but there you go.
Thank you.
All right.
I will do our mag check. So we check both prop and 2,000 RPM. That was cool, Gary.
You know, I'm really good at like 3 things. Avionics, ForeFlight, and autopilots. Everything else, I just have to learn from the experts.
That 60 drop back to both. 1. But the same, back to both, no more than 150, no more than 15 between. 1, 2. Bit more, about 100. 1. About the same, no more than 150, no more than 15 between. All my lights, it's lights, and green, green, green. Oh, do an idle check. Is there anything else that you'd like to talk about before we pick up our IFR clearance?
Nope, let's just make sure everything's set. So you got a CAS message on the Avionics. There's 3 levels, blue, yellow, red.
Oh.
Red, you need to read right now. Yellow, something's gonna happen if you don't fix it. Blue is just information. So data link data is overdue, and you see we're on the auxiliary button anyway because it's green, but it's flashing blue. Well, what data link data is overdue? Well, if I rocker to alert, see data link status page. Well, okay. Well, where's that? Well, it's under system. Status software, status databases, status GPS, status data link. And then I use the big knob to scroll down, and that is where the weather legend is. So if you ever want to know what the weather legend is, but look back up at the top, and you can see some data link is pretty old, right?
Oh, as far as weather goes, oh, I see.
And the reason it's pretty old, so we're not picking up
on the ground
because we're not flying.
We're not flying.
Right.
We've been on the ground a little too long.
So whenever you see an alert like this, try not to touch the touch screen.
See why?
I touch the clear button because if you touch the touch screen, you might clear multiple alerts.
Good.
So what I do is I put this one on map, and I typically don't want the compass ring because I don't need it. So if I go to auxiliary, setup, map, compass rose, off. Oh, that's nice.
What? Compass rose off?
So you see how, here, let's go back to map. Okay. See this compass rose?
Yeah.
Well, your track is right there. You don't need that. So.
That's true.
Well, and again, all of this stuff that I do, it's strictly my opinion.
You know what's nice is that I'm going to have a visual of something else.
See?
Yeah.
Ta-da.
Yeah, it's just less clutter.
Just don't need it. So what I do on the map
That's true.
is I typically range out to show my first waypoint, but we haven't even put in a flight plan yet.
Yeah.
Right? So right now you're in north up view. I know that.
Yep.
To change north up view, you push here. Now I'm in track up. Now I'm in track up center.
Okay, go back.
So if by pushing the bottom right number,
Yep.
a knob north up, track up,
Track up.
center. You can also change it to heading up center. But you change the map view by pushing bottom right number.
Yeah.
All right, so let's put in the clearance we expect. I was on map to put in the flight plan we expect. I'm going to hit FMS, make sure I'm on flight plan. It already knows we're at Jabara. So I filed to the initial approach fix, which is Digby. So you can push enter, you can touch this. Pushing this knob is also enter. So all I do is spin it to D, I, G. I found it.
Coming
Enter,
up by itself. Yep.
enter, waypoint. It
So
automatically found Salinas. So when you first, if your last waypoint was an airport, it's going to look for the nearest VOR. If your last waypoint was a VOR or an intersection, it's automatically going to look for the nearest airport.
And we covered that during our ground session.
Right. So if I went from Jabara to Salinas,
And
and
then
then I loaded an approach starting in Digby, that's what causes the gap in route.
the stupid gap in route.
It's a really bad habit to clear gaps in route.
Yes. And
Because most of the time there should be one if you programmed it correctly.
Yeah.
Sometimes it works. Sometimes it'll violate an FAA clearance. Sometimes you can't clear them. So now if it's Salinas and I again here or enter, and then I push procedure, RNAV tree 5, which is going to be LPV, enter, starting at Digby, because we already put Digby in our filed flight plan and I loaded it first. There is no gap in route, and
Nice.
the approach will self-activate. If you want to preview this, all you have to do is you see the map tab that everybody touches?
right.
You know you don't actually have to do that.
Oh.
You can hold the right side of the FMS button to open it up, and now I can pinch zoom to see the whole route.
Okay.
You notice nothing is pink,
Right.
and GPS is still yellow.
Because we have an activated flight plan.
So I can touch here
Boom.
or there.
Now it's green.
The first leg is always pink. The next leg, now that I'm on the map, left, larger, right, reduce. The gray is where you're not picking up radar. All the light blue flags right here are VFR. The next leg is going to be barber stripe, and that's the hold. And
That's
it's
gonna
not
be our
showing right
hold.
now just because we haven't taken off. So I am not a big fan of the MECHAR flags. So to get rid of that, I'm just going to touch weather overlay. And get rid of the MECHAR flags.
Okay.
If you have all that radar when you're flying, the easiest way to get rid of the no radar received is just to change it from US to a different radar service,
Okay.
right? And it's usually like a CONUS. All right, so great, everything looks good there. So what I do is I just set this one to my first waypoint. Down here, you can set it to almost anything. I actually just kind of like leaving it on the flight plan. So that's the way I like it. Now, you got the VORs down here. Now, I expect the GPS is going to work. But let's look at ForeFlight and get rid of the ARs. If we take off out of Jabara and we're going north, I don't know that in an emergency we'd have time to come all the way back around to Jabara. So this is called a takeoff alternate. Our course takes us near Newton. I'm going to touch Newton, airport, more, details, procedure, approach.
Nice.
RNAV 35.
Perfect.
I'm going to overlay it on the map.
Yeah.
Now, let me ask you a question.
Yep.
Is it legal in actual IMC to ignore your ATC clearance, ignore your certified panel mount avionics, and steer here using ForeFlight only to the nearest airport in an emergency?
In an emergency, I would say yes.
Right. So I actually take off with this chart on the map, and that's called a takeoff alternate. My preference is actually an ILS.
Right.
In which case, I would pre-tune the ILS frequency on both.
Right.
The only VOR that's anywhere near us is going to be Salina. So I'll show you a couple different ways to do it. I can go FMS all the way to the right, nearest, right? See where it says nearest airports?
Yep.
I can keep touching it until it says nearest VOR. I can scroll down to Salina.
Right.
If I push that button, look, I just moved Salina up to the top. You could also just push nearest here and keep pushing nearest. But there's another way to do it most people don't know. What if you didn't know the frequency, but you knew it was named Salina? So if I touch here, the keyboard convenience, and I type in the identifier, S,
No way.
L,
Why did I
N,
not know that?
1710.
No way.
But see how I put Salina in both before I take off?
Yeah.
You should always be ready to lose GPS.
And of course, we have the nearest that we can just like look at
Right.
the VOR. But you can type in this way.
Yeah, but
That's
if you set it
nice.
up early, right? So remember, it's decision fatigue that kills pilots,
Absolutely,
right?
yeah.
Okay,
Nice.
so let's call and get our clearance.
All right, sounds good. You'll do the radio call?
I'll do all the radio calls,
Okay,
yep.
cool.
So I'll go to comp 2.
Zulu. Wind 350 at 14.
Which
Heat
another
gust
change.
19er. Visibility 10. Sky condition clear. Temperature 27 Celsius. Dew point 04 Celsius. Altimeter 3013. Remarks. Density altitude 2,900. Wichita. Colonel James Jabara Airport. Automated weather observation 2010
Okay.
Zulu.
So I'll put
Wind
clearance delivery
340.
active. I've got Jabara Unicom Wichita. Alright, I'm gonna,
Your phone is still recording.
so I get the audio. Alright, there's my clearance. So you can do it on here if you wanted to, or I use favorite, doesn't matter. So craft, I'm going to be cleared to Salina via something, probably radar vectors to Digby. Maybe an initial altitude, we filed for 4, maybe 5 to 10. My frequency's got to be 34.8. All I need is a transponder. Okay, go ahead and pull up and I'll
Okay, we'll
get us
call.
out of here.
Okay. All right. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to go like that to look
Yeah,
at my
absolutely.
downwind.
A really good idea at a non-towered airport, if you can, is to
Right.
always spin that plane.
And we'll spin to look at our downwind, to look at our base, and to look at our final, and everything is clear. And I'm going to wait before we take off to turn everything back on because we need to wait for our clearance.
Great.
And I'll let you do the call.
Okay, so before I even call, I just want to make sure my clearance matches. Cleared to Salinas.
Right,
So my flight plan is going to Salinas,
right.
or Salina, I think they pronounce it here. Digby, which is active.
Resume on navigation to the west.
You've got 3,000 selected, 4,000, and it was expect in 10, so we need a timer.
Okay, so
Okay.
you have that timer that you
So-
set on that.
Pretty simple. So right here, I actually have I have a destination timer. So I set the wrong timer, but we can use the bottom one. I can go auxiliary, utilities, timers, change it to down, 10 minutes,
Oh,
and then
cool.
highlight the start button.
What about this?
But you can use that too.
Okay.
So if I hit start and then FMS, that'll reset that.
Okay.
4707. To get to the transponder, the remote transponder, that goes to VLOC, push it again. A lot of people use the touch screen.
I don't like this one. I usually use this one. It's set for 2.
Let me show you this one.
Okay.
Feedback on the transmission, fairly readable.
Little knob does the little numbers.
We are leaving 5,500, passing through 5,000.
Big knob does the big
on
numbers.
oxygen, down to
Okay.
2,500 at 1 kilo 1.
So 4707 is in that one.
Okay.
It automatically goes to altitude.
Okay.
So it's really easy
So
to...
then if you want to...
No, it's okay. We can use yours.
Okay.
But to get to it, it's really simple.
Oh,
Okay?
we'll do that again.
Now, down here, if you want to use your panel mount,
6234 Zulu, Wichita approach, Wichita,
07, and it's already in altitude.
Okay.
All right, so that matches that. I've got a timer set, and I will call Wichita and say hello.
Hello.
Wichita departure, good afternoon, Baron 1879er Lima. Number 1 ready to depart, holding short runway 36 Jabara, IFR Salina.
Baron 1879er Lima, Wichita departure, release for departure, heading 360, if unable to advise, Wichita altimeter 3014.
Release for departure, set your heading big, heading 360, and we'll catch you in the air. Baron 1879er Lima.
360.
Calendar Victor, Hotel Victor.
All right, so I'm back on Unicom.
Fuel pumps. Landing light. Strobe lights on.
All right, you ready, ma'am?
Mixture rich. Yep.
All right. Jabara traffic, good afternoon, white and black, Baron 1879er Lima, taking runway 36, straight out departure up to 3000, Jabara traffic. So, the FAA advisory circular says use your tail number, and that's fine, but I gotta tell you, tail number doesn't tell them what to look for.
Yeah, the
So
plane color.
I add make and color, and that just makes it easier for people to look for me.
Clear final.
Clear on the right.
I will line up really good with the runway.
Excellent.
And runway 36 confirm. Fuel pump on. Heading 360.
Pressure's in the green.
And we're gonna start slowly. Release brakes. Airspeed is alive. Pressure is in the green. We'll rotate at 81. 70. 80. And she wants to fly. Tap the brakes. Positive rate. Everything looks good. Gear up. Pitch for blue line. Blue line. And we're climbing.
Perfect takeoff, Val. Absolutely perfect. Very professional.
Thank you very much. And we're in a safe altitude. We'll slowly reduce the throttle and the pressure on the RPM.
Jabara traffic, white and black, Baron 1879er Lima. 2000 climb, 3000 straight out from 36, last call, Jabara.